Welcome to my studio. I'm Linda Glover Gooch, and today I'm approaching a large cloud scene, and at this point you can see I have done my wash and I sculpted by wiping out some of the design. So it has left this abstract design. I know where I'm going. If you were to look at it, you might have to think, what's happening in this scene? But I do know what's happening in the clouds. So 24 hours ago, I drew the painting on with my charcoal. I put a fixative on my drawing to hold it, and then I did this wash over the top with Gamsol thinner, and I used a few warm mixtures. I used some transparent orange, I used a little bit of burnt umber and some touches of cad orange and maybe cad red light. You know, I just was using some colors on my palette and getting this nice warm wash. These clouds are very atmospheric with some blue and a lot of backlighting. So I wanted a little warm color just to put on for the underneath base. It's completely dry. I do not paint on these cloud scenes with my washes when they're wet, because when I put my color, my mixtures, my blues up here, I want them to stay exactly as I mix them and not be grayed down by an orange influence. So I'm going to get started on it. I'm going to start laying on some thick paint. I am going to take you back in time, and we're going to watch a time lapse of this wash being developed. I enjoy doing these washes as much as I enjoy the rest of the painting. This is actually one of my favorite parts of painting. And you can see me using those warm washes that I discussed. And I'm picking up varied tones. You can see where I've gone even a little bit redder there. That's probably more orange or more cad red light mixed into the mixture. And I'm using Gamsol, which is an odorless mineral spirits by Gamblin. And the ground, I'm going a little bit darker. This is where I was talking about the umbers that I added in. I just like to make it a touch darker down there. I just enjoy getting rid of the white canvas, and the most fun is sculpting away my drawing. When I come back, I call it sculpting because I feel like I'm building a little bit of form, and probably much of that is happening in my mind and my creative thought, but I do enjoy it. Wiping down that whole canvas and quieting down just a little bit of the brush strokes with an old piece of cloth, like an old t-shirt or something. But I'm going to go back to wiping and using my Viva paper towels for this more intricate stuff. I can make finer marks and pull off more. And I just come in and I'm pulling out those lightest areas. Some of them may not be the brightest spots of the painting, but I'm just developing the drawing as well. And I do spend some time doing this. I see this as an intricate part. I like to come up and, pull some of those edges. Now this cloud is very backlit and it does have really bright edges. So I'm accentuating that and using this wiping out technique to help draw that design. Where I talked about it being a bit abstract, it was really fun. And just, back and forth. Sometimes I'll go back and pull out more, out of an area that I've already wiped out. Maybe I want it a little bit lighter. And so just continuing on with this whole process. All along that top edge, that's where that cloud is backlit. If you don't get it perfect, that's not a big deal. There are times I do it a little bit different than my photograph. I've tried to teach my students to not be married to your photo. If you're not doing something historical or a commission piece, then give yourself that freedom to create and let your own voice come out in it. Just keep pulling away where you feel like you need it. On the next lesson, we'll step into adding some of the blue paint. But for now, today is just about that beginning process. Sometimes I'll wipe out and I may pick up a brush and pull paint back over like you see me doing here, just kind of toning down some of that light. All right, you get to the easel. Stay encouraged. Well, welcome back to the studio. And in today's video, I am continuing on with this large cloud painting, Heaven Touching Earth. And in this section, we are just starting to add the thicker paint. We've been through the wash, have the drawing done and the wash wiped away. So now we're going to start putting some color on. And I'm just going to time lapse a few parts of it for you. Of course, you probably realize there are multiple hours involved in getting this real estate covered, this large canvas. So we're going to get in and we're just going to start working on it. So sit down, enjoy, and then afterwards you get back to the easel and get to work. I am coming in with my blue mixtures, air mixtures, gray blues. You're going to see me come in with a lot of different mixtures. There's quite a bit of blue in this cloud scene, and I use various mixtures of white, cobalt blue, my air mixture, which is white and ultramarine blue and cad red light. You can see me putting in darker. Now here is where I start adding some of the backlighting, which is white with a little bit of yellow. And I'm going to start softening some of these spots that I put in and just start building. This is really like putting together some puzzle pieces. It's very abstract shapes up there. You can see where I've started adding some lighter gray blues and then all that backlighting, that white, and I believe it's a little hint of some yellow ochre, maybe cad yellow medium. Either one will get you there. It's just a warm white and not a yellow. So as I just continue on, you can see me putting the real bright edges around. And now those light rays coming down, when you do light rays, they look funky in the beginning. There's just no way around it. You have to start just getting the paint up there and they look a little wacky, but you keep softening and keep working back and forth till you get the effect and the look that you want. There is so much softening that's going to go on in this big cloud scene, and I just work back and forth, back and forth. Just keep pushing to try to get coverage. But I do soften quite a bit along the way. There's a thing in me that I want to feel like I can do it, and a sense of that I'm getting somewhere. So I do bring a little refinement as I move along. And you can see here, there's that, all that area is really softened, and I brought in some detail and finished areas with like that small piece of cloud that's broken off there further away, softened around the edges. And there's that downpour of water there that took a lot of softening and just a lot of work back and forth with the colors. Then I'm going back into the dark edges. I've been using the Rosemary angular brushes and some Hansberg Premier brushes on this painting. Just keep adding color, and that's the Rosemary angular, and I'm using it to soften here. I'm just working those colors. I don't always use a fan brush to soften all areas. Sometimes there's a lot of softening that has to take place that you just don't want to use a fan brush. Then moving on further, just more of the same. Just paying attention to where the light rays are and where the light is hitting and where there's shadows and dark parts of the cloud, and just building the puzzle pieces. Just keep building. And you can see that I'm just trying to get coverage. I got in there with some blue sky. For some reason that part didn't get filmed, but it's pretty much white and ultramarine blue and some alizarin. Then you can see where I've kind of put some of the light rays coming off. Now where all this backlighting is all around this cloud, that white and cad yellow medium, or it's a white and yellow ochre, whichever you want to use, I'm just putting it in, and then I start softening those edges. And there's my gray blues. It's white and cerulean with some reds in it. And you can just see that I keep moving. You just have to keep moving on your cloud scenes. And really, wet into wet is the very best, because you can really get your softening. Speaking of softening, I use my finger a lot too. And you can see where I'm really paying attention to all these edges, and I'm knocking them back. Where I feel like I just want that soft edge, I just get in there, and my baby finger is probably one of my best tools for softening these edges. Now the fan brush does come into play, and you can see where I'm coming along now and just knocking back and just melting a little bit of that together. All right, I hope this has been helpful to you. Get back to the easel, keep painting, keep practicing. Remember, you got to enjoy the journey. Just a little more here at the end. That downpour had a little bit of a rainbow effect, that prism of color, so I just had to keep going back in there and adding more color. But we'll pick this up on your next lesson. We'll take it a little further. Well, hi, my friend. How are your paintings going? Are you out there studying clouds and painting sunsets? Well, I hope so. In today's lesson, we're going to continue on building this large cloud scene. This is the 30 by 40 that we've been looking at over the past few lessons. It's called Heaven Touching Earth, and it was done for an exhibit a while back, but I wanted to take you through some of the steps of what it took to build it. And I hope that these things help encourage you, give you ideas, give you inspiration, things to keep you at the easel, to keep pursuing, keep practicing, keep getting better. Because really, that's the end result. The more you do it, the better you'll get. All right, so let's step into the studio, watching me continue on with this big cloud scene, and then you get back to the easel. Well, I'm beginning to block in the water, get the foreground, adding reflections of those clouds. I try to work as fast as possible and not get hung up on too much detail. It's in the lower bottom portion of this canvas, so to overdo it could create some busyness. When I'm working on a big canvas, I really try to get this ground covered quickly. It just sort of helps me feel like I'm making progress. You know, and I'll put in paint, I'll soften, I'll take it out, put it back in. Really, it's just figuring out the direction of what works and what doesn't. So it's just a part of the ball game. There's a lot of softening that will take place in that water. I want to keep it quiet, but I do want it to be a beautiful point in the painting. It's bringing that air color from the sky down into that water, creating those reflections with the warm whites. I put a little bit of light, start developing the back distant field, so I'm putting some light white and yellow ochre, probably a touch of some green in it. And then I started developing these trees. Now, these trees, there's quite a bit of work put into them. I want them to be an interesting shape. So I pull sky color back in and start developing negative shapes to create some of those sky holes. I do have to work on the cloud back behind there, but I like all of this wet paint. You can get a nice soft edges and it gives more painterly feeling. And blocking in that tree at the edge of the canvas there, I'm shortening it because I don't want those trees to be the same height. So I'll bring cloud color back down and shorten that. Soften the edges. I'm bringing in some more greens, different values and temperatures of greens. More sky holes, just designing that tree. Lots of work in those trees. Just keep designing, bringing darks and different temperatures. All right, so on our next lesson, we'll finish up this painting. We'll do some corrections. We'll get to the detail. So you just keep painting. Remember, practice is the key. But you have a good time and enjoy the journey. Well, hey there, my friend. I am back to talk about clouds. How are your clouds going? How are your sunsets, landscapes? What are you painting today? Most importantly is, are you painting? That's the key. Practice, brush mileage is going to get you there. In today's lesson, we're going to look at some of the finishing touches on this large cloud scene, a little bit into the foreground, and just some ideas to help keep you inspired. I want to welcome you always to my studio. I am Linda Glover Gooch. I'm here to share these things to help you on your creative journey. You know, that's what it is. Remember, it's a journey. So be patient, but keep working. All right, let's go watch this clip. You can see me coming in and tweaking those front grass areas. I like to use a small rigger brush for this, which is just a brush that has very long hairs and that's very thin. I am bringing darks in. These are little accent darks, you know, at the waterline. You'll find areas where you need to do that in your paintings. I love to use a knife. Gives me a little bit different texture, and then come back with the brush, soften if I need to. The rigger brush works great for these grasses up close in your painting. You could use them for tree branches and trunks too, a little further out in the distance if needed. Now, I did not like that stand of trees that I put in, so I had remixed that sky color and the distant mountain color and paint over the top of them. They just didn't work. I liked the focus on that downpour, just hitting that distance out there, and I really felt like the trees were not doing any good. I love to add this sparkle. This is those very final touches where you're bringing in the glitter and the bling and the sparkle. That's the fun part, putting on this icing. It's a thick paint too, and I'm just using a bristle brush to do it. I don't want to blend it in. I almost want a dry brush look. And then I love just to bring another bright layer on these very front grass areas. And don't do every single one of them. Don't have a runaway. So I hope that this has been a fun painting for you to explore with me. I hope it gives you ideas and it helps you to be inspired. Work out some of these things in your own paintings. Use it to inspire yourself. Most importantly, keep yourself painting. All right. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you.